I've just been thinking about the mental illness of the rich. But almost anyone who requires money in greater amounts than the people around them, they seem to become afflicted with the inability to think of themselves as equal anymore. I mean, they're not equal to people. They're not equal in income, so therefore they're not equal any other way. Now, I grew up with this. My father was a property owner, and his father had acquired probably more property than anyone in town. And so he had this illness, this superiority complex, that he had acquired more money, so therefore he was better than all the other people. And my dad took this in, my aunts absorbed it, and so they had this kind of attitude toward everybody. They sort of looked down on him. They didn't have that much more property or money that you would think that they would do this, but I just think that getting more money has results in this kind of attitude. And I think it's permeating our financial crisis brought on by people who were going to get money at any cost. They were going to sell houses. They were going to encourage people to borrow money they couldn't possibly pay back. Anything, so they could acquire money. So they could become successful. So they could, and I guess just got so allergic to this. Just being raised in it constantly. Like my dad had the attitude, as his dad did, that he could do almost anything. He could get away with being unfaithful, both of them. If he had money, why his wife would put up with it. And my mother did the same thing. I mean, she knew my dad wasn't being a good husband by going off every weekend, leaving her at home, refusing to take her. And she probably didn't really pinpoint the fact that he was being unfaithful with not women but men. We'd have this discussion. She'd say, "I think there's a woman. I think they're," and I'd say, "No." I remember saying, "No, mother. He's not partying with women. He doesn't like women." Well, my mother didn't proceed on from there and say he doesn't like women. Well, who does he like? There was all kinds of, to me, evidence that she could have pursued, that she could have thought about to discover just how he was being unfaithful. The same as my grandmother. She could, but they didn't do it. It was like, and I know my mother slowly began to really love driving a brand new Chrysler, which my dad would buy. She started loving. Oh, he didn't buy Cadillacs till late in life. Up until then, they bought Chrysler Imperials.
Oh, well.
And my mother was very proud of the fact that they had a Chrysler Imperial, they had a Jeep, they had a Power Wagon, and a cat. There was just more vehicles than other people. And I remember Daddy brought her back a fur coat once, and oh, she loved that fur coat.
You ain't probably trapped it out in the woods with the guys.
Well, I don't know. I think
shot it.
There was some suggestion that he'd acquired this through somebody's theft. I don't know.
Is any buffalo hide mean anything to you?
But, and I could see my mother slowly being, and then the more she got focused on the material things, the car, the traveling around, the less concerned she was about her kids. We didn't hardly see her. I mean, so I regarded, that she had been finally seduced by the idea of wealth. No matter how miserable she was richer. And so I just got so allergic to this kind of thinking.
That old money can't buy happiness, but it sure helps while you're waiting for happiness to show up. Or Or something similar to that, get it?
Yeah, well, yes, and so I saw my mother becoming afflicted with the mental illness that comes with having what? The ability to buy brand new cars. And so I don't know, I just got so allergic to this, and I really couldn't find anybody but just ordinary people not earning very much. You'd keep running into these attitudes otherwise. They would just be humble. Because after I got partially disabled, where I'd have to take the lowest kind of job, that you possibly could have, like a waitress job or one in a factory, something that I could work at and then leave if I wasn't able to keep it up. But I found out that one of the pluses of having these jobs on adulthood was
On what?
on becoming an adult rather than
I-
what, like my dad had in mind that I would,
These adultery jobs.
no.
I don't know.
That I would go to college and become a school teacher, which
Yeah,
wasn't going to make
right.
me a lot of money, but it was satisfactory. He thought for women, since they couldn't be ranchers, because they couldn't do the work. I mean, they could be a rancher, but they'd have to hire the main work done, and there was always the possibility of not getting it done right. So my dad didn't think that, he didn't think that women could run a ranch, and I didn't think they could either, just because they couldn't do the hard physical work like he did. Our ranch setup, I thought it took a man to do it. And so, but I did find that I really enjoyed being around people that were just earning enough money, to take care of their needs, and they were generally all in the same boat, that nobody was making very much money.
So this is basically the reason you hang around me, because
Well, you
I
have
have
the
no
DC, no, you have the money. I think it looks like that you
I have no class.
that at one time you were able to make money very easily.
I have,
And you still have the disease, that you
charge, that counterfeiting charge has never been proven, okay? Never been proven. Appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, I do think that you still have the disease, the mental illness that comes from doing too well, making too much money too easily, which I take it from your history that you were able to do.
You're not going to let go of that, are you?
No.
It's never been proven.
No. Well, you've got this, so you have this, and I think this is why you can't quit drinking, because you have the superiority complex, that you are superior, and you're superior whether you drink or not. Now see, my dad became an alcoholic. Well, he had the attitude too, that he was superior even if he drank. He could still make money.
Guess what?
So therefore his drinking wasn't
Am I
really
supposed to
a
argue
big
this point with
problem.
you? Am I supposed to argue here?
Well, you can't bring yourself to admit that you have a very bad flaw, that you need to do something about.
A superiority complex, is that what it is?
Yes, you believe that every thought, every impulse you have is superior, so you can't really look at it and say, this thinking is something seriously wrong with it. And this is the problem we had with my dad, trying to convince him that his drinking was stupid.
You've never had
gross.
A superiority complex.
It led to,
have you?
well, if I made money, I'd probably be insufferable, but since
I don't think making money. I think you'd have been insufferable without making. As a matter of fact, now that you brought it up,
well, I'm the type
don't
of
give me these
person.
great leading lines,
I'm the type of person that would,
Do these people know this is unrehearsed?
and I think that's why I never had this conviction that I should get my books out there, I should sell them. I just didn't have that ruthless gene, that gets that done. Because I'd think, oh, that'd be bad, It's bad to